What's up, everybody? It's one half of the 10 Lives and Tag Team. I'm 10 Lives and Tony. The producer, Kira, refuses to be on camera tonight because of the controversial content. So it'll be just me going solo. The Mr. McMahon Netflix docuseries, Episode 1, Junior. Let's go.
The Tantalizing Tag Team Wrestling Podcast. What you should be watching.
You're trying to get off camera. What's up, everybody? 10 Lives and Tony here on a Thursday evening. Where'd she go? Guys, Kira! I didn't mean for her to leave. So, guys, listen up. Hey, it's Tony. You should stay and produce. No. Yeah. Listen. Did you get clips made for me? Yeah. Guys, what's up? This is a Ricky Dink operation. Reminds me of SWA. So good evening, everybody. If you have not seen episode 1, Junior, of the McMahon documentary, Mr. McMahon documentary, you should not listen to this. It's not going to be a long video, maybe 30 minutes, because it's going to be easy to recap each video, and then at the end of the 6th episode recaps, we'll do a full thing. There will be spoilers once again, so be ready for the spoilers. Okay, so before I start, I guess Kira watched most of episode 1. She didn't finish though. I'm gonna ask her off camera. Kira, what do you think so far? Oh, you can be on camera. Can you switch this mic your way then? I think Kira's, because I want to hear stuff. I think Kira's gonna be joining us. I'm like, oh hey guys, you didn't make the tag. The rest going to throw you out. So Kira, did you see the first full episode? Or did you still short 13 minutes?
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
I have 12 minutes left.
There you go.
But honestly,
you learn anything new?
No.
And you don't know anything much, do you?
I think it's just me. I'm not very good at retaining information, apparently, because
this from a college student.
I was never good at history. I got the Liv Morgan tongue.
What about her story?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I was never good at history, and I think it's just me that can't learn about wrestling history, because I didn't know what the heck was going on. Everything went through one ear and out the other. I heard all the things about how they couldn't do it without Hulk Hogan. Somebody said they couldn't they were like, I don't think WWE would be what it is today if it weren't for Hulk Hogan. And honestly, I think that's true too. But I mean, he's really?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Hogan was a great integral part of WWF/E.
Yeah.
But they had a few other people that, listen,
Andre the Giant.
No,
that was another attraction.
No. Dusty Rhodes was a main pick, but Vince didn't see it because of his flamboyant attitude. But whatever the case is, I think that I mean, it's tough to say because hindsight's 2020. You can't go backwards. But Hogan, as much as people might not like him, and as much as we might not agree with his personality, McMahon and Hogan had a match at WrestleMania about I think it was WrestleMania 19, like who created WrestleMania. So they had a fight. Anyway, yeah, that was Jesse the Body Ventura. So Jesse the Body Ventura wanted to have a union for the wrestlers, to have health insurance and all kind of other benefits, so that when they get older, they'd have something like a pension. And Hogan ran to Vince like he always did and ratted out Jesse the Body. A lot of people do not like Hulk Hogan. And one thing I'll say about Hulk Hogan in this interview, he has revisionist history. Like, he changes things to make the narrative about him and benefit him. Like, this was one thing that he said. One thing he said that was crazy was that in the WrestleMania 3 match with Andre the Giant, he didn't know if Andre was going to let him win.
Was that episode 1?
I don't know if it was or not. Whatever the case is, I'm saying that because Hogan, I don't know. The problem with Hogan and being involved in everything is he was involved in everything. You know, he's an integral part of WWF. He's an integral part of the NWO and the 83 weeks where WCW beat WWF in the ratings. So Hogan has been a part of major parts of wrestling history. So you got to talk to him. But I wish that Hogan would just go away. But the comment he made that I didn't know if Andre was going to let me win. Man, we all know that when this thing's booked, Andre's going to do business. So it makes zero sense to me. Plus, not to mention, when he fought the Iron Sheik, he said I just attacked him and I just went with the flow of the crowd, and everything's about him. It just upsets me. Anything Hogan's involved in upsets me. But you know, good evening, everybody. If you're on Instagram, good evening. What's up, Daniel?
I'm Monster Twin.
Let's do a quick little roll call and let's get into it real quick. Yeet for Jasmine, C. Henry,
Sister Jasmine.
Dahlia, your Marsha Twin, my man Rosen, my friend of how many years?
35.
There it is. My man Jay Canner, the only two-time cancer survivor in the TWF, in the 10 Lives in Tag Team Wrestling Channel, and that is Tonka Thomas.
Nation of Tantalization. What happened to that?
No, that too. Jakey Bakey, the greatest moderator in the business, in the lovely Humble. And that's a good point, Humble. Humble thinks that the first episode was trying to humanize McMahon. And I will tell you this. I try to go into this open-minded, hoping we'd get something that would give us a little in-depth dive into his psyche and who he is. And I'm gonna this might be unpopular. I felt bad for Vince a little bit. You know, not meeting his dad till he was 12. I guess we get into it. Not meeting his dad until 12. Let's do this. Let me read this to you. And I can show this to you because it's paused. So beginning in 2021, over 100 hours of interviews were filmed with Vince McMahon, his family, business associates, and some of the World Wrestling Entertainment's most popular stars. So this started in 2021. They started the documentary. And of course, the allegations came out in 2023. So by the time you get to episode 6, there's parts of the documentary that McMahon is not there for. And you can tell this little piece together. But how they started, I liked how Vince came into the ring, sat down, doesn't like talking about himself. And that is true. Vince is it might be because he's secretive, because of his lifestyle. But I also realized that he does not like talking about himself because I think he has low self-esteem. And I know it sounds crazy. How does a billionaire mogul who created the WWF walk around like that, and doesn't have self-esteem? I really believe his self-esteem is low. And this could be one of the reasons why he does all this stuff with women and tries to dominate them and doesn't, treat them well. Yes, and full disclosure, Vince tried to buy the rights to the documentary before it came out, and of course Netflix said no. Like I said, I'm trying to think about how I go about this because there's a lot of people involved in this documentary. You had Vince, of course, you had Linda, Shane, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, who was cutting his locks. Unreal. That's fake hair, by the way, just so you know, Kira. Those extensions are connected to his do-rag. That's not real. Just so you know. I know. I can't stand them. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, who had a big part of this whole thing was Tony Atlas. Bob Costas was there. Phil Mushnick, who we'll get into him later. Paul Heyman. But Tony Atlas had a big part in this, which was crazy. Vince as a kid. very awkward, gangly looking kid. A good looking teenager as he got older, was in the bodybuilding. But him not meeting his dad till he was 12 years old, very telling on if you meet your dad at 12, your dad doesn't even hug you. So look at this pic. Look at this right here. Look at Vince and look at Linda. Look at Vince, how he's so like, he looks innocent. He looks like, he looks like he is not the guy he is now. And I felt bad for Vince when he talked about it. You could tell he loved his father and his father didn't love him, and it affected him. Well, Tony, to talk to C. Henry's comment. C. Henry says, no disrespect, when Tony Atlas speaks, he sounds stupid. I don't think it's that he's dumb. He's country. He's got that country bumpkin twang. Make no mistake, Tony Atlas knows a lot about the wrestling business. I've spoken to him on a lot of occasions. At Tampa, when WrestleMania came back from COVID, we're in the same hotel, and we talked for hours. Like, we're in the same lobby, in the lobby for like 4 or 5 hours talking. Tony Atlas, number one, is a nice guy, believe it or not, and he tells the business. I don't know if he's lied. I don't know. Listen, Tony Atlas saw a lot of things. I'm looking at the comments,
I feel
guys.
like I have nothing to add to this conversation.
Well, the parts of the documentary that you did see, did you learn anything new? Did you learn about the territories? You know about that, did you?
I did learn about the territories. What I got from episode 1 is that Vincent Kennedy McMahon,
Mhm.
he had a vision that the WWE that we see today was going to come from the WWF that they were making, and nobody really believed in him.
Right, and that's crazy. He had that vision in 1980, 82, 83, that he wanted to make this thing global, a global entertainment company.
He was, I will say, Vince VKM, I'll call him VKM because in this episode there's 2 Vince McMahons. VKM was like ahead of the ball for everything. Like, he was ahead of the ball. Is ahead of the ball the phrase?
Ahead of the game.
Ahead of the game.
I don't know.
He was ahead.
He was visionary. He had a vision.
He saw that cable TV, or was it satellite?
The closed circuit thing was big.
Television was going to be big,
and cable was going to be huge.
Pop culture. When he got hooked onto MTV.
Ahead of the curve.
Thank you. When he got with MTV, he knew that pop culture was going to be a big deal. He knew that bringing in celebrities from different
entertainment backgrounds.
Yeah, entertainment backgrounds was going to work. Letting the wrestlers like be involved in other things and letting other people come into WWE. He might not have been the nicest person or the most moral person, but he definitely did a great job with making WWE what it is today.
I'm gonna say this, and this might pull back the curtain on the Levin family. That's my last name, of course. The tantalizing Tony you see now is not the tantalizing Tony that's yelling at them. And sometimes family, depending on the trauma and depending on who the family is and what the circumstance is, can drive you to be a different person. Now, everybody's accountable for their own actions. And I don't want to hear anything about, oh my God, you can't make excuses. I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm telling you personally, there's days, and Jasmine can tell you this, there's days that I'm a monster in here. That there's something that will set me off because I want things a certain way here because I'm the captain of the ship. And if I tell them to do it and they don't do it, I'm on the warpath. And when you're in charge, sometimes you got to be the a-hole. Now, you shouldn't be hitting people and doing this, abusing people the way that he's accused of doing. And let's not forget, guys, these are all allegations that have not been proven yet. And everybody in America is innocent until proven guilty. That's the law. That's the law of the land. It's what we live under. So we don't know what's going to happen with the Janelle Grant thing or these other cases. Because I will tell you something, another pullback of the curtain. You can be accused of something you didn't do more than one time. And when you're rich, you are a target. You know, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying there is always that 1% that maybe he didn't do certain things. And if he was in a consensual entanglement with this Miss Grant and it went sour, we don't know how it went sour. And I'll be honest with you, when you have money, you give money away. You're very generous with money. I'll tell you from personal things, when I've had a couple of dollars extra in my pocket, I have helped people out. Good question, Thomas. If you have a non-disclosure agreement, does that admit guilt? No, not to me. Because look, McMahon made, and this is not in episode 1, I'm not sure, but he says something about being very sexual. They asked me, he said he had 3 brains. And he says, well, I'm thinking about having a lot of sex right now. And maybe the guy's just a freak. And we all heard, he has alluded to this in a Playboy article. Kira, see if you can find that. He did an interview for Playboy in 2003. Look for Vince McMahon Playboy article. And he admitted or said that he was sexually abused by his mother. That his mother abused him. Right there. Script. That's the scripted one. That one. So who's to say, so you can find it. Who's to say this guy wasn't abused? And they always tell you abusers were always abused. And I'm not saying that the guy has any kind of carte blanche to hurt people, but who knows what kind of trauma this guy went through, you know? And I think it did humanize him a little bit. I do not, under any circumstance, side with this guy, no matter what he did. But in business, you know, when you're running a company, you can't be a nice guy. But I don't know, guys. But back to the actual documentary. I love the setting of it. I love how he set up. I love how he did the clips. I was, like I said, Hogan just threw it off for me. Anything Hogan does, I don't, I just can't get into it because everything comes, you don't know if he's telling the truth. So one thing Hogan said, one thing Vince said too, in his Playboy article, that he cheated on Linda quite a bit. And what's upset me about this whole documentary is they never asked Linda McMahon one question about the cheating. Because before the Janelle Grant, before the accusations, he had admitted to being unfaithful to his wife. So that upset me. And another thing that really upset me about this actual episode 1 was that they asked Vince, hey, what can you tell us? And Vince's like, I can't tell you that much. I can't let you know the real me. You can make it bigger, Kira. I can't let you know the real me. So how do you get into a documentary and get to peel back the curtain if you don't get in depth? Hold on, Kira, I need to get a second. Jasmine says, I don't agree about not being a nice guy because Shirley seems to be stern. No, and Jasmine, I am not condoning any behavior, but you have to realize this: the wrestling business in the 70s, 80s, 90s were different than now. I'm not condoning it. I'm not giving them a pass, but all things evolve. Like, I'll use a perfect example. How about this? Back when I was in school in the 80s, the teacher was allowed to hit you. Nowadays, if a teacher even yells at you, they're suspended. So times change. Tyler Perry was abused and never hurt anyone. That is true too, Humble. But here's the thing. Tyler Perry was abused, never hurt anyone, but you don't know what he's done in business. See, the thing about this is we only know what we're seeing. It's like the government. It's like anything else. We only know what they allow us to see. It's like the magic tricks. It's like the magicians, you know, sleight of hand. They don't pull the curtain back. And Humble, like you said, he never hurt anyone that we know of. You know, we don't know. And I'm not saying he did, but it's so hard. This is what's so hard about these cases and this business is that we idolize these people. Like, oh, we can't. I'd love to be this, but you don't know what they go through. You don't know what their trauma is. And like I said, Vince McMahon, if everything he has done, all this, I don't know if you can say it on the channel anymore, all the SA stuff that he's been accused of, if he's guilty, he deserves to rot. But it's just tough. And Humble, you're not wrong. You can't let your trauma be excuse for being a jerk, but you also got to realize that some people don't have the filter and they don't have that support from a family member, or they weren't taught how to behave properly. So, hit the likes like Jasmine said. And yeah, all your opinions are welcome, guys. Please put them up there. Anybody in the chat that saw the first episode, you got any hot takes on this? I'd like to know. Hey, Blackwell, you still here? And Rosen, anytime you want to come into the channel, bro, and be on screen, just hit me with send me your email address. I'd love to get your take on screen with this. And guys, just for the record, we're still working on the trivia contest for all the members of Team Tantalizing. But Rob, if you're here, if you still hear me, if you're in the chat still, send me your email address if you want to jump in. Humble, I'm waiting for you. Also, Stephen Chambers is in the building. Is Stephen here? I'd love to get his take as well as Jakey Bakers too. Jay Canners as well. In fact, anybody tonight that wants to jump in and have a little say, send me an email address on my Facebook Messenger and jump in for a segment and talk about it. And let me hear your take. Humble, I'm waiting for you. Humble, I want you on more than anybody. I want you on more than anyone because because you remind me of bringing it back to the culture, because I have a problem with that. Not that I'm not black, but sometimes I don't think that I'm enough in tune with my people, because I love everybody, but I hate everybody too. No, Humble is a sweetheart. It's true. Guys, the territories, McMahon had a plan. He took over everything. He took over, and all the people that talked about him worked for him. Stampede, that was Brett's company. That was Brett's dad's company, Stampede Wrestling. And of course, who worked for him? Who was one of his main guys? Brett. I like that Eric Bischoff had some good. Listen, Bischoff, say what you want to say about Eric Bischoff, but Bischoff, for the 2 years they ruled, he did the right thing, man. And he's talented. And I've talked to Eric Bischoff off camera as well. I talked to him at a couple of conventions. The dude's very intelligent and has a great mind for the business. This guy right here to me was the GOAT of everything. I don't care what you say. Tony Atlas, man. Look at it. Who could wear a cutoff shirt with a tie other than Tony Atlas? I'm still waiting for. I don't have a. See, you guys, this is your chance to shine. This is your chance to be on the show tonight and get your take. And I don't have one message from you guys on my Facebook Messenger with your email address. I can invite you. Jasmine, what about you? Are you home? I'd love to get your take. Or if you don't have Facebook, hit me on Instagram in the inbox me, DM me. I got nothing. Business casual, yes. The other thing that I loved about it was Vince knows what to say and what not to say. Uh-oh. You're good, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tell you who's coming, but someone's coming. So let's get this person an invite. Kira, can you please? I can't read. I'm with glasses on. Can you put it in? We got one of our first members coming in. And this person, I'm not going to say their gender. This person is a great person. We have interacted once at a WrestleMania. See, I'm how I'm so aloof. But I really respect this person's opinion because they have a lot of good takes, and even though they're cool with me, we can disagree a lot, and they still respect my opinion. And I respect theirs as well. So this person will be in shortly, and I'll introduce to you who this person is. Did I say this person every time? I think I did a good job. That's very hard that when you know somebody's gender and who they are, and you say the wrong thing. So that person will be here shortly, and we'll get their take on what they think about the Mr. McMahon video. Well, everybody who's here should be here for episode 1. This is a spoiler-free show. I mean, it's a spoiler-full show, spoiler heavy. So if you didn't see the first episode and you're here, oh well, that's your problem. Go watch it. You know, my thing. Listen, Jesse the Body should be commended for trying to give those guys a union. Jesse the Body wanted people to be, good to go with their future. Another part I loved about the documentary as well was when Vince McMahon was on the David Letterman show as a correspondent at the what do you call it, kid, where the baby's born? Not the nursery, the maternity ward. He was at the maternity ward, and he was so good. He was quick-witted. David Letterman goes, "Do you own that?" You can. He goes, "Is that your tux?" He goes, "It is not my tux." Oh, I've got a. Oh, wait a minute. We need to get the phone patched into this. Need to figure out how to do it. Isn't it like a Google call thing or something like that? We can call in. We got to start doing the calling feature. So we're waiting for the one guest to come in, and I'm gonna call somebody else on FaceTime. I won't put their face on the screen because they probably won't let me, but I'm gonna call that person right now because they gave me the okay to do so. Kira, can you cut the air off? Let's see how good the volume is going to be on this. This is a good show. Will this person answer? Maybe not. It's still ringing. Can you guys hear it? Oh, there they are. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Humble herself. This is Stacy. Hello, Stacy.
Hey, Tony.
So, how are you today, hon?
I am doing good.
You doing good?
I'm doing good, Tony.
Can everybody hear Humble in the chat? Kira, can you check it? Make sure everybody can hear her. So Humble, did you see the first episode?
I did watch the first episode. It was.
Say it again. And what did you think about it?
I did watch the first episode.
And what did you think?
I think he humanized Vince McMahon. I think a lot of the people that were in his corners, from like Bruce Pitcher. It was interesting.
So let me ask you this. Do you agree or disagree with my assessment of it humanized him a little bit?
It definitely humanized him. It did. But I will say I respect the fact that they did a lot of fact checking.
Right. They did. Oh, so Rosen just said in the chat, if you could lower your background noise a little bit, I guess you were hearing you and me on your TV or your whatever your device is.
I will say I agree with your assessment because we're all different. And that's why I have always agreed with what Hulk Hogan said about wrestling fans being very forgiving, because we are a forgiving group of fans. We do actually try to look past people's flaws. So I will say, watching it, I see it from Vince McMahon's side to being this really serious businessman and having to, go against the grain to get WWE off the, on the path of where it was. My thing of it is, I just wish people wouldn't bring up past trauma as a justifiable reason to hurt others, because that your past trauma shouldn't be the reason to hurt others.
No, and I totally agree with you with that. You can't use that as an excuse. But my assessment is, because I've been through some trauma in my life, and it does affect who you are as a person. Because if some people, if you brought up a certain way, you have a certain personality. If you brought up with trauma, you are guarded, your self-esteem's low. Like McMahon, to me, like I said, is someone with low self-esteem, and that's why he has to prove everybody that he's the man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, listen, I got you on the phone. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your take. I have somebody in the backstage right now that's going to come on. I want to tell you this. We got you on as a voice. That's great. Now we got to get you on the show because people want to see your beautiful face. And
gosh,
come on now. You know me, you know how me you are. People love your takes, and I want to tell you this, that everybody can hear that. We appreciate you so much because you're such a great, your knowledge of things and your opinion. You never back down on your opinion, even if it's disagreeable. So I appreciate that. I love you.
I appreciate you too, Tony. You have a good night, okay?
You too. Thank you so much. That was humble, everybody. All right, guys, listen up. We got my dude backstage. I can tell you now, give him his gender. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is from Cali, going back to Cali. Listen, guys, you know who he is. I'm going to put his chat up so you can see who it is. You've been waiting for him. That's my man, baby. Mr. Rose is in the house.
What up, Tony?
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, man.
Listen, man, let me just tell you this. Number one, I always love your takes on everything. Because we don't agree a lot on AEW. You know, you're very critical of me on AEW, and I'm very critical of you in WWE. But I love that you stick to your guns. And I love we can have the debate back and forth, and that even though we don't agree, we still got respect and we're boys. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you on that.
Yeah, very healthy debate, because it's like, I love WWE, but I got to give some pushback somewhere.
Nah, and you do the right thing, man, because it opens my eyes on things. Because I try to give it more of a chance because of you, people like you, my friend Paul Laurier. I try to give it a chance because, bro, between me and it really irks me sometimes. I try to fight. But let's get to this McMahon thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen all 6 or just one episode? What have you seen so far?
I watched all 6 yesterday at work.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I watched all 6. So I watched 2 episodes when it debuted, and then I watched the other 4 in my car in between work time. And I was like, wow. I wish they would have had a guy interviewing him that really asked a tough question to really press him. But I think they were afraid because anytime you press McMahon, he gets defensive, and he did it with Bob Costas back in the day. He did it with Armin Contagion on HBO. There's a lot of people he doesn't answer, but I think that I wish they would a little more dug deeper. But what's your assessment, bro?
I mean, yes, dug deeper, but you also had to realize this is like their first relationship with Vince. So he already out the gate before he sat down saying he doesn't like talking about himself. So there's not really much you can really ask besides having the hundreds of hours of video. So, they'd have to dig and comb through stuff that wouldn't offend them or wouldn't have them walk off, because this interview was like 3 years ago. He wasn't really going through everything. Everything was pretty much settled or dismissed or in the shadows. So of course, just like, not to compare the two, but like with the Dahmer thing, the Dahmer had the first episode, you got to see him as a kid, as a human, as somebody that had feelings. But then after each episode, they took you for another turn and something darker. And it's just like his ideology, it was like, do what I say, not as I do, because I don't believe what I do.
Right. And that's a good point. anything from the first episode that stuck out to you that made you say like, "Wow," or that you didn't think you were going to hear?
No, because I was waiting. Like, because like when we saw the trailer, even on your show, we saw the trailer. We was like, okay, it's about to get good. So the first episode was like, all right, that's a little snack. I want
Right.
some meat and potatoes. Like, cool, you're a man. Your dad didn't love you, just like you don't love your son now. It's a weird career cycle, and but yet Shane loves his sons, and so that's why it's so hard for him to get the approval from his dad because he loves his three sons so much that he's proud of them whatever they do, and he can never get the approval of his dad unless he's putting through himself through hell to build a business. Anything that's not business is not Vince.
Right, and you notice that he's all business all the time, and it's so you could tell you could tell the stuff with his dad still hurts him to this day. You could
But
tell.
yeah,
Even
yeah,
when every time he talks about his dad, he wells up, and I think that this has affected him his whole entire life. Who knows what kind of person he would have been if his dad had give him approval, if he had told him some morals. Look, when you take your company from your dad and change it around, and then change something that he wanted. Listen, Vince had a vision, and the vision was great, but the way he he just disregarded his dad's wishes when he went to the territories and tore them to shreds. He didn't care about anything
yeah.
except his vision, which I get it is business, and business is cutthroat, but it went against what his father believed, and maybe that was the rift between them too.
Yeah, but like his dad was okay being in his territory. He was successful in his territory. So that's why he didn't like Vince going to other territories and trying to take over because it was a bad business practice. And that's why he kind of set him up to fail. Well, he think he was going to fail by selling his company to him instead of Gorilla Monsoon as he planned,
Right.
and to see him fail. But yet Vince was like, all right, I'm gonna prove to my dad, and I need to get his love by expanding this business. Even if I got to step on somebody else's toes to make my dad happy, I'm gonna show him my vision because he wants me to fail. And if I miss one payment, he's taking the whole company back. So he had that motivation from the beginning. Of it's either he's gonna love me or he's gonna respect me. He doesn't have to do both, but I'm gonna show him that I'm committed to this company more than he is, and that's what made them bump heads because they were so competitive. Vince was always competitive for his attention, and his dad was just like over it already, like over it. This brash, like, okay, yes, I wasn't there, but it doesn't mean anything.
No, and that's a good point, man. It's tough. Look, father-son dynamic is tough. I have a 37-year-old son. I have a few sons, and it's tough. The way I do with my 7-year-old son Michael and the way I do with my 37-year-old son Anthony out in Vegas is different. The way I do with Bobby, totally different. So the father-son dynamic is tough because I think all dads ultimately love their kids for the most part. But I think that what happens with your sons growing up is you want them to be better than you, but also like you at the same time. You know what I mean? And it's a tough dynamic because you always want your kids to do well, but somebody like me, I want my kids to do better than me, but I also want them to do it the right way. And if I see them going the wrong way, I'm like, oh, I can't accept this. I don't approve of this. And when you don't approve of your kids, especially your sons, and when they're men, they have their own, way of doing things. They don't want to hear from you because they're grown. So
But yeah,
when you got two men in business like that both are business minded, but the son is more cutthroat than the dad, you gotta ask yourself, number one, why? But then you go back to Vince's childhood of not knowing his dad for 12 years and being abused by the stepdad that Fresh Take just put in there. So it's like, who knows what kind of abuse it was? Not to mention Vince said some things that really threw me off. He goes, yeah, I got abused, but as long as I got up the next day, I win. And
yeah.
it's like that Hakuna Matata attitude, like no worries. And you can't deal with life like that. You can't just put stuff behind you and keep going. You got to deal with it, because if you don't, it follows you forever. And look at this day today. This guy at his age now, his childhood trauma turned into the monster that he is today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think Vince learned that model from his dad though, because I'm not gonna say he didn't learn it from his mom and his stepdad, but I think he learned that from his dad about whatever happened in the past is in the past. Don't look back. Like don't cry me a river. Show me some money. Like pretty much. Like I don't want to
Right.
hear about the things you went through for the past 12 years. Either you're gonna fix it now and shut up and move forward, or you're just gonna be stuck in the past. So he had to move forward, or else because he wanted to be around his dad so much, and then that he loved wrestling. It was just like you can't he couldn't be around his dad if he wasn't committed to what his dad loved, even if he didn't love it, even though he had to find a character to latch on to, like we all do. We all have our characters in wrestling that we latch on to. He had to be involved in the business somehow by either announcing or promoting or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And what you said about how his dad told him to put stuff behind, I'm guilty of that too with my sons. Like, oh man, stop harping on what push forward. And sometimes it's hard to push forward without going back and trying to figure out what went wrong. I'll tell you something real quick about myself. My mother and I don't have a great relationship. My mother's still
Mhm.
alive. She lives in upstate New York. Don't get me wrong, I love her very much, but we butt heads like you wouldn't believe, because she's very alpha and I'm alpha. And even when you try to talk to her when we're getting along, I saw her about a month ago, and we were getting along very well. Like she helped me out with some things while we were down during Fanatics Fest, and I was trying to talk to her about listen, I'm 56 now, and you don't even tell me I'm a good dad. I don't want to talk about it. Like, she doesn't want to have anything to do with anything from the past. Like, she will not.
Acknowledge
And
it.
and I know she loves me. Don't get me wrong. Trust me, she does.
Well,
But
yeah, but she doesn't really want to rehash old memories or negativity because it's either she compartmentalizes it already and that's what she wants you to do, or just that the whole don't look in the past when there's a lot more in the future type of deal. Like, cause
right.
I'm not really that close to my dad. I'm closer to my mom, but all the women in my family are alpha females, so like they pretty much run their relationships. So I'm used to like you know the non-affection and all that stuff. Like I'm affectionate, but not because of my parents, because neither one of my parents were affectionate. It was either like my mom would give me good advice, the pros and the cons. My dad just gave me the cons, so it was just like, all right, I'm gonna stop going to you. But I was never seeking neither one of their approval, like because it was just like, all right, well, if I'm not getting like loved like the normal person is, I'm not gonna be harboring it and be this terrible person. I still came out pretty successful with what I'm doing and where I'm working at. So I don't blame my dad for any of that. I just know I don't have a good relationship with him. But
Well,
it's not go ahead.
no, that's a good attitude to have. That you acknowledge that you know where to go to and who to get what from, which is good to do. I don't have the same patience and the same um what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have that direction where I can say, okay, leave that alone. Because I'm the kind of person that always has to get answers to my questions. Like, I always want to
Yeah.
know why. And I don't let I harp on things. I don't let things go. I harp on them forever, which is very unhealthy to do, to harp on things forever. Because all it does is, you know, engulf you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I with me, like learn like because like the first 9 years I lived with my mom, and then I always had like my aunts and my grandma in the same house, so I was always around women and stuff. And then like the from 9 to 18, I lived with my dad, and the whole learning to become a man and all that stuff. So we always bumped heads, but it was just like I'm always gonna find answers because I didn't like how if I didn't know or and if he didn't know like how he would react. So I was like, I'll just look for it myself. Like I'm not gonna be feeling bad for not knowing something when I'm still growing up and learning and trying to understand things that I don't. Because obviously you're not really teaching me that much. So why be mad at you? I gotta be mad at myself. I have to learn because you're not gonna teach me how to be for me. He didn't teach me how to drive. My friend taught me how to drive. A lot of things that I've been taught, I've self-taught because it was no point. There's no point in me crying to my mom. I'm gonna do cry to my mom and at 10 years old because I can't go outside. Like she's in LA, I'm in Downey. It wouldn't make no difference.
Right. And that's where we can, even make the comparison to Vince that, that dynamic with his dad molded who he is.
Yeah.
Now you notice as a man, you're accountable for what you do. And Vince, like I said, once again, if Vince is guilty of anything, if all these allegations, he got to face the music,
Mhm.
Before I get you off here, let me just ask you one more thing, man.
Yeah.
Was there anything in the first episode that you were like, that you didn't like it all? You was like, all right, we didn't need this. Something they could have kept out? Or
Um,
was it someone you would have liked to hear from that you didn't hear from?
someone that I wanted to hear. Um, well, I mean, Vince has siblings. We just don't acknowledge them.
Right. Where's his brother? He has a brother, doesn't he?
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
hear. They never made it seem like Vince. They made it seem like Vince was like the only child, like in the beginning, where it's just like his mom and stepdad were in a bad area. He was supposedly a sexual SA by his mom, and then his stepdad was always domestically DV towards his mom. So it was just like, okay, he's like he doesn't have any other siblings at all. Because I mean, I know this is a Mr. McMahon story, but you're trying to humanize this dude, and it's you guys are trying to make it seem like all this negative is all this negative stuff that he grew up with is why he's so heartless and cold today, which is far from the truth. He decided to stay that way.
Choice, a choice. You know what blew my mind is Dave Meltzer's a big part of this. Dave Meltzer's been around a long time. He was on the Phil Donahue show with McMahon on the
Yeah.
panel. So he has a real good idea of what happened. But I want to ask you. This is what I want to ask you before you go.
Yeah.
When Dr. D. David Schultz smacked John Stossel, I remember this live. I was a kid watching 2020 when this happened, and I was like, wow. He smacked the taste out of his mouth, not once, but
like 2 or 3 times. He's like, "Oh, it's fake," and bat,
yeah, man. And how Hogan put Richard Belzer to sleep too, and he busted him on the concrete
with Mr. T, and then this like back of his head was all bloody and stuff, and then they sued.
What you think about how they protected the business back then?
I mean, I get it because you have someone like Vince as like again trying to take over, trying to expand, doing the what was the show? What was the show's called? When
Tuesday Night Titans?
No, not that. When when they would air WrestleMania 1 in different areas, and then you just paid. You saw like on his projector screen. Yeah, closed circuit stuff. Like you're trying to expand the brand, so anything that is negative is not going to help you. And just like Vince said, they say no. I mean, even all publicity is good publicity. And he's like, no, not all negative publicity is good publicity. So a lot of that stuff, all that stuff, he's been doing early. So he's been enabled early because he's always been someone's boss. So like even though TNT and Turner was paying wrestlers more and having work less, which is pretty much what Tony Khan is doing now, Vince was more just business first, and he's been enabled because it's either my way or the highway. Here goes some yeah.
People didn't want to lose their spot.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if Hulk and Tony are really telling the complete truth. I think Tony's telling his 90% of his truth, but there's still some things he can't say. Just like it was who was it? Who was Jimmy Hart? He was like, the relationships and stuff. He's like, I don't know what they want me to say and not say.
Yeah, he was Jimmy. After that, Jimmy Hart wasn't in it anymore. He wasn't in the documentary
that was
anymore.
It. Yeah,
and that's a good point to make. Jimmy Hart was in the beginning, and then you never saw him again.
Yeah, because that was enough. Because like even when when they interviewed Shane for something, and then they went back to Vince and told him what Shane said, he just like kind of like laughed it off,
blew it off.
It's like so like they the production they kind of just like with the Jordan document, they gave Jordan his interview, but they pre-interviewed other people, so he was able to report things. So the same thing with Vince. If we're giving you this $5 billion deal coming up, and you're giving us an interview. We're going to try to get you in the best light as we can. But now things are going left. So now we're going to keep predating every episode back in 2021, back in 2021, back in 1981. These are all enabling things that they have found out through the hours of tape they got. Because they didn't really edit much out. They didn't really take out, like, they didn't try to PG-13 us. They did was like, here, you're gonna get people that was doing these things, saying these things, and this was what you could see his reaction to things. He was so narcissistic. It was just like, no, if I had a side chick or something, like the whole Trish Stratus thing, like kissing Linda and having Linda be in front of the camera even though she didn't want to. It's his nature, because they're enabling him because it's his business, and they're just reaping the financial benefit from it.
Well, you're powerful, the most powerful man in wrestling and entertainment. You got your self-made. Listen, he is a self-made billionaire. That company was. People don't realize that WWF was only worth about in 1984 $200,000. About that. It wasn't even $1 million company then. They were breaking even. They weren't making hand over fist money like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And WrestleMania set them on a new level. So, well,
he had to. 'Cause remember, he went on vacation, and that's when he came up with the whole idea. Because he was overworking himself. They were saying they were working 7 days a week, all 365 days. So you get no time off. So you're being paid to go and leave, and you're still thinking about the business because you want to be so successful so bad. Nothing else matters. Nothing else counts. If you want to be here, be here. If you don't. I will replace you just like I got you. Yeah, so that's why he was going through different territories and taking like the top wrestler, top person, and say, I'll pay you this, because he had a goal.
Junkyard Dog was big in Georgia South wrestling. He got the Ultimate Warrior, who was a Dingo Warrior. He got Steamboat, who was at Florida. He got everybody. Dusty Rhodes even worked with them for a while, and he was considering Dusty Rhodes to be his big star.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Rosen,
what do you think about the way they handled the Jimmy Snuka situation with his wife or with the girl?
They brushed right over that. They brushed
because he was a star.
They brushed right over it. Yeah,
enabling behavior.
And maybe Vince had something to do with the little cover up. Who knows? But let me say this to you, bro. I want to thank you for coming on, bro.
Of course.
You're welcome anytime, especially when we do AEW, because I want to hear your commentary during AEW, because I know you love AEW. I know you don't hate WWE, but
I like pure wrestling. I don't like all the talks and stuff. I don't want a talk show. I want to see the wrestling.
I got you, bro. I'm a flamboyant guy, so
but I grew up on WWE, so it's like it's nice to see something different. Just like when ECW was out, it was nice to see ECW because everything was no holds barred, and they were telling stories within the ring. And then like you had WCW that just copied WWF, and they just try to always one up them, but they didn't have the financial the right person doing it. Turner let Eric Bischoff run him to the ground. And now you have Tony Khan just like letting the wrestlers do what they got to do. But I like the purity of the wrestling.
The inmates running the asylum. Yeah, look, AEW has great talent, but if they could just get somebody in there to right the ship, you know what I mean? But that's another story.
Like a Shane McMahon.
Like a Shane McMahon. Yeah, I think we're gonna see. Here comes the money. Rosen.
You already saw? Did you see MVP?
I saw. Listen, MVP was nice, bro. I did watching all last night. I was very excited. I was like, all right, let's go MVP. Listen, Bobby Lashley can't be far away, and we'll get Bobby Lashley. If we get Shane, that's a game changer for me. That's a game changer. McMahon in AEW is a game changer.
You know why though? Because remember when not to keep continuing, but to hark back to when remember Vince said hell no to Shane because Shane had an idea to take over WWE. Mm-hmm. This is his opportunity to kind of, do it how he envisioned it. If Tony Khan, does in fact does business with Shane McMahon.
If you give Shane the reins, first of all, they're never going to beat WWE because of TKO and Endeavor. They're too big.
No.
But but he can make a better product and show them the right template how to do things, and it will make it better. You're never going to be able to compete with WWE, but
No.
you can be that big alternative that people can go to, like, oh man, this is great. Because look, AEW does put on good matches, but my problem with it is that the repetition of every match is a WrestleMania match every night, and that's my issue. But
They go all out.
All out. I like that, all out. My friend Rob, you are welcome anytime, my friend.
All right. Love you, Tony.
I love you too, bro. I mean that so much. Hope to see you soon. Are you going to Vegas for WrestleMania? You better say yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I already my friends already emailed the people to get our booth again.
Nice. Let me know, because my son lives out there. I'll be out there the week before, so you let me know, bro. We're gonna do it up this is WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say goodbye to you in a second. Thank you once again, guys. Say bye to Rosen. Appreciate you. We're gonna talk about the steroid thing, and then we're gonna end the show, bro. I appreciate it. Anytime you're welcome, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, brother. That was my man Rosen, guys. That was cool. Kira, everybody, huh? She gets a thumbs up off camera. All right, before we go, guys, the last thing I want to talk about the McMahon documentary was the steroid issue. And the reason why I save it for the end is because hold on, Kira. Yes. It's the 12 minutes you missed. It's at the end. So everybody knows that back in the 80s, if you were in any kind of sport, you on steroids. I'm gonna share some with you guys that I'm never shared with anybody ever. I've never done hard drugs ever. Never smoked weed. I know it's crazy. Never done anything crazy like that. But in 1993, when I first started wrestling, I did take HGH. That's the human growth hormone. I never shot myself up, just for the record. But I did have somebody make me the little cocktail they make. And it bulked me up a little bit. But I'll tell you right now, once I saw what it was doing to my body and what it was doing to my psyche, in 3 weeks I was done. Steroids and wrestling went hand in hand. It was how you looked. Your body had to be a certain way, or that you weren't getting on top. A lot of people, and this might shock some people. A lot of people want to blame Vince for the steroid era, where Hogan, where Superstar Billy Graham, Dr. D. David Schultz, Ravage Rick Rude, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, all these guys, these great bodies. Tony Atlas. These guys, what they left out of the documentary, what upset me, was these guys were already huge, massively body-wise before they came to the WWF. So you tell me that Vince was shooting them up then? You know? Now, did Vince maybe turn a blind eye to the steroid use? Of course. But is it his responsibility to tell everybody, don't do this? He's not their dad. You know? How they want to lay on Vince about the whole thing with the doctor and everything. Look, when you beat the federal government, that means they don't have enough evidence on you. It's hard to beat the feds. You know? It's hard to beat the federal government when they got you. So either he had great lawyers, or maybe the allegations weren't what they thought they were. Like I said, did he turn a blind eye? Probably. But to blame him for the entire steroid era is not fair. Not to mention, he was very aloof about the Chris Benoit thing. And I don't know if that was in the first episode or not. It probably wasn't. But Chris Benoit was doing things with the head, with his, with his head, with the headbutting and off the top rope years before he came to WWF. I don't like how you come to the biggest company on earth and then you get blamed for stuff that happened before. So I just thought that was a little irresponsible of the Netflix documentary to blame the whole steroid thing on Vince, and Vince beat the case. So listen, it is what it is. All right, guys. So let's take some last questions in the chat, and then we're out of here. We'll do episode 2 either tomorrow or Saturday. We might do 2 episodes on Saturday. And, Maybe we'll compress it, but we'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you haven't watched all the documentaries on Netflix, check it out. Anybody else in the chat got something to say before we call it? Kira, you still gonna watch another 13 minutes, 12 minutes. Anything else to take from it? Anything else, Kira? Well, Kira's got the crimpy hair today. Oscar Velarde. I don't know how long you've been in the channel, but once I vet you and everything, one day we get you on. There's ways to get on. We'll talk about that at a different date, but be patient. Kira.
I had no desire to watch this show.
But now?
I still have no desire to watch the show. After episode, I couldn't even sit down and watch episode 1 all the way through. Like, I literally could not pay attention to it.
Why?
It just didn't interest me at all. I mean, I learned some stuff about the start of the company. I learned some stuff about Vince's relationship with his father, but none of that changed my views on anything.
You do realize this is called the Tantalizing Tag Team Wrestling Podcast. So maybe you should know some of the history of how the WWE used to be WF and how they got to where they are. Don't you think that'd be a good idea?
I mean, it doesn't specify what wrestling we cover.
Wow.
I am
the biggest company
specializing in the current era
Well,
of WWE.
Without the past era, you don't get to this era.
Okay, so you can handle that.
Well,
and I'll stick to my Rhea Ripley.
I swear, Rhea Ripley. There it is,
Every
guys.
show I got it.
There it is. There's the Rhea Ripley reference, guys. All right. Thank you all for coming in. I want to thank Humble for the phone call. That was great. My man Rosen, who his hair grew. He grew his hair out. Looking good. Looking like a real... No, I don't want to say it because I don't want the whole Diddy reference happening. But guys, look here. Tomorrow night, Kira's going to set you up right now. For the front...
It never works. It doesn't change anything.
Shut your mouth. For the Friday night SmackDown watch along on USA. And we'll talk about episode 2, which is called... What's episode 2 called, Kira? Do you remember?
I didn't even get through episode 1.
It's called Heat.
They really put some thought into these titles.
They did. Junior. Episode 1's Junior. Episode 2's Heat. Episode 3 is Screwjob. One of the ones I like the best was Screwjob. Number 4 is Attitude. Number 5 is Family Business. And number 6 is The Finish. And we might merge 5 and 6 together because to me, spoiler alert, 6 was just thrown together if you ask me. But I enjoyed it. We'll give you a full review later. Guys, you know the whole deal. Kira, anything coming up we just talk about? Any news, breaking news, any news that happened today?
House of Glory is coming back to Jamaica.
Oh, Jamaica Queens. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
26. Oh, wait. Actually, I think that passed.
Oh,
that might have been today.
It might have been today. maybe it's tomorrow, Friday. It's probably tomorrow.
I think
it's probably tomorrow.
No.
Nothing else happened today?
Not really.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
You're pretty sure about that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just show that.
I know. How about this, Kira?
You blew it.
I blew it.
Y'all, the first ever 2-night SummerSlam is coming to New Jersey next year. That is absolutely let me tell you guys my reaction. I wish there needs to be a camera on us at all times because when I got the email that freaking SummerSlam, first of all I saw was SummerSlam was going to be 2 nights. I already flipped. I was like, what? Then I saw it was going to be in New Jersey. I did a victory lap around the house. I really did. And then I sent it to Dad. I accidentally sent it to Big Bugs Bobby. And then I called Tantalizing Tony. I was like, did you get my message? He was like, no. I was like, darn it, I sent it to the wrong person. So I just told him over the phone. And honestly, don't know what his reaction was because I wasn't even paying attention to what he was saying. But this is like big news. We all knew that SummerSlam was going to be 2 nights because they announced it for 2026, but we didn't know what it was going to be for 2025, which is next year. So the fact that it's in New Jersey, which is not too far from us,
huge,
and it's 2 nights, it's going to be a major event. Unfortunately, man, the banks will be broken.
Yeah, thank God you have a job.
The banks will be broke, but this is going to be a very historical experience. Maybe we get Charlotte back. Maybe we get all these people that. Maybe we get Cena. Maybe we get Rock. Maybe we get. They're making this 2 nights, and the one concern that I have
Travel?
is WrestleMania.
What do you mean?
Because if they're making this 2 nights,
Are they going to make WrestleMania 3?
No, they've got to make WrestleMania even bigger. I don't think adding another day though would do anything really.
Listen,
I don't think anyone would like another day of WrestleMania.
they can't afford it. I'm going to tell you this. If you're thinking about going to SummerSlam next year, here, let me give you some advice. Number 1, book your hotel now. There's a few hotels close to MetLife Stadium. They're cheap. Get them now. Number 2, there are hotels in walking distance, by the way, as well. Do not go into New York City that weekend. You will not get back. Do not take mass transportation that weekend, and do not take an Uber. WrestleMania at MetLife, the last one, where Kofi won, Kofi Mania. Thank goodness I had a car. Thank goodness we lived here, so it's easy for me. I stayed, but by the way, Les had a hotel room, so I stayed with Les. To take an Uber from New York over to New Jersey to MetLife was $42 that day. The night going back, it was $180. That was 2019. We'll be in 2025. The Ubers will be
$300 to go
easy,
3 miles.
easy. $300 to go 3 miles. I kid you not. So if you're going, not to mention we'll be living somewhere different by the time SummerSlam comes out. We won't be living in this house anymore. We're moving. So we might be closer to MetLife, or we might own MetLife by then. But listen, guys, once again, SummerSlam's 2-night event.
MetLife?
Huh?
You said own?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. You know why not? I'll buy it. But I'm gonna buy Giants. SummerSlam is 2-night event, Saturday, August 2nd and Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. Hopefully, we'll see you there. All right, guys. This was Mr. McMahon, episode 1, Junior, night 1. Thank you. You know the spiel. Tell him, Kira. Yawning on camera
Why
every time.
Always cue to me when I'm yawning. You think the chair is a bit? You doing that to me is a bit. Thank you guys for coming to the show today. If y'all are new, I hope you guys stayed, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're on the road to 100K. We're on the road to Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Like in a few days, actually next week.
Yeah,
like that.
and we will tell you tomorrow if we're going.
Tickets are still like the cheapest ticket I saw was like $3.
Yeah, no. Yeah. If you buy 2, we'll see. Kira
might not be going.
Kira's thinking about not going. She's thinking about just me going alone. But I don't know if I don't want to leave her. I really don't, guys. She doesn't care either way.
I really don't.
Wow. I don't. She's so nonchalant about these things. I don't get it.
And you're so
because I don't. Because that's not dramatic. Because it's not the same when you're not there. Like, not to mention, I need another set of hands to record things. So and it's you do a good job. And it's when I was in Toronto without you, I literally was like lost. Not that I couldn't function. It was like, it wasn't the same. Like, you give me the energy to keep going. So it's like, I need you there with me.
I literally do nothing.
Hit those super chats. We need $8,000. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. You did the spiel, right?
Sure.
Okay. No, you didn't. Hug your family. Let's go.
Make sure you guys hug your families, kiss your families, tell them you love them, pray to God every day because you're not promised tomorrow. And as always,
before I say stay tantalizing,
oh my God,
look at the traps, guys. I've been working these. Let me tell you, some guys in the gym today, clanging and banging, clanging and banging, clanging and banging. Anyway, guys, we love you. Do I do best? Thank you, Humble. Thank you, Mr. Rosen. And do what I do best, and that's stay.